Welcome to the lecture The Neuroscience of Food. In this module we will enter into details about neuroscience applied to food behavior. Neuroscience is that part of the science studying the how brain works, and as you can imagine it has been applied in many sectors. Food is certainly one of the most interesting because food behavior is vital. But in this case we will talk about how to apply the knowledge from neuroscience for restaurants, for hotels, and how to restructure your food offer thanks to the support of neuroscience. First of all, there is a very important thing to say. Food, visual stimuli of food, so observing food, activates a very important part of the brain which is called the reward circuit, which is formed by the striatum, amygdala, insula, and the orbital frontal cortex. These areas are activated by all patient activities. All patient activities activates this reward circuit. And there are very interesting studies. For example, there is one meta-analysis, which is a collection of studies by Tang and colleagues, that showed that visual stimuli of food activates similar areas to those connected with addiction. This is the point. Many types of food creates activities which are related to addiction. Our brain loves food. And what is more important to say is that another research from Pinel and colleagues from 2020 showed that there are several types of food that create this connection much more, create stronger addiction. But this kind of food is the food high in calories, fat and sugar, not actually the most healthy and most sustainable types of food. There is an evolutionary support for this and reason. Of course, for the survival it was much more important to have this kind of food high in fat, calories and sugar. But today, in which we have a higher access and variety of food, it's very important to regulate this towards a healthier and sustainable food option. So we have to use this kind of knowledge in order to reorient the attention of our customers also to the sustainable and healthier options. Today we don't live in the past, we have bigger varieties, and so we have to teach them to recognize the good food, which is a challenge because today food production, food transformation have many aspects we have to consider. To do this, neuroscience uses a technique called BOLT, which is the blood oxygen level dependent. So it's a way to study where the blood is moving in the brain in order to understand what areas are activated during a task. So the first important things you have to apply in your hotel, restaurant or organization related to food is to use visual stimuli. And you have to understand how and how much and what conditions, but you have to understand that visual stimuli of food will catch the attention of your customer and will link to your restaurant or hotel. You can do it in several ways. Some people, for example, include visual stimuli of food directly in the menus. But you cannot overcrowd your menu of images because this will be distracting. And also you have to be very careful because sometimes food images in the menus are used like better views of the real food. So you can have a disbalance from what the customer will see in the menu and what will eat. So what I suggest is to balance very well the use of images. Another thing you can do is, for example, is to test your visual stimuli of food in the digital menus. Coronavirus changed many things, and one of these things is the massive use of digital menus. I suggest you to use this not only for the environmental impact because you save paper, you don't consume paper, and also for hygienic reasons, the same menu have to be reprinted in order to be clean. But also because if you have a digital menu, you can test what images, what words will be more effective on your customers, because through digital menus you can also study the reactions and the selection at the statistical level. Other ways to show food is to use real food. So you can display food actually at the entrance. For example, you may have a space with vegetables, or there are, for example, steakhouse showing exactly the piece of meat that will be cooked at the beginning. In some cases you see as the first thing the fridge, so you can see directly the quality and what you want to eat with the full transparency. As well, of course, for a seafood restaurant it will be the same. Where do you position the food? Yes, it can be at the end of the restaurant, but you will not take the advantage to seafood directly and to have a direct connection between the guest and the resource you will use. This is not only a sense of transparency, but it's also something that stimulates the reward circuit in our brain and will catch the attention of customers and also increase their trust in what you are preparing. This concept is called by the sociologist Poulain gastroanomia. He created this term in 2009. Anomia means confusion, disorders. Nowadays people are confused on how food is created, produced and eaten and transformed. So the more you can use transparency in everything you do in your restaurant, the better will be the trust of your customers. This is very important. So you can do it by showing food. You can do it by showing the kitchen. There are places in which you can actually see people cooking, or you can see some procedures. For example, in Italy we have many places in which you can see how pasta is done, the handmade pasta. You see the process because you have two places and there is an open space in which you can see the procedure, and this certainly increases the trust. Another important way to be transparent is, of course, to show the origin of food ingredients. For example, you may mention the area, the geographical area, and of course a nearer area since you have to valorize your rural area. But also you can, for example, show the origin of meat, or you can mention the enterprise that produced this. And also you can create important synergies with other organizations located nearby, because you can create some joint activities. One is, for example, a visit in the enterprise in which you can see directly also the process of transformation of the raw ingredients, how is produced. By doing this, you take the attention of the customer directly on the food production and you are fully transparent because they see actually what's happening. Another important thing I suggest you also to increase the chances to have the customer at your place is to do cooking classes. With the cooking classes, you do not only show how things are cooked and prepared, but you give education to participants that will bring at home and will be an additional memory of the vacation of your customers that will reinforce the link between you and the customer. Thank you for watching and see you at the next lecture when we will see how to use words to attract the attention of customers.